We should go into the back garden so not to disturb people who respect us socially.
The character of Richard was almost non-existent. Richard said, "You're wanted on the phone, dear," and "yes, dear," and "no, dear." And that was about it. Do you know who passed by earlier this morning?
My goodness, is that a dead leaf?
If I put together Roy Clark's track record and Miss Routledge's track record and Harold Snowd's track record, I thought, well, I can't say no to this because it could be a job for life. Frivolity. 30 years married, I can't remember a single frivol.
Like his leading lady, Clive Swift had a theatrical background and was also prominent in the TV satire of the 60s, appearing in Dig This Rhubarb.
When I was single, my pockets did jingle. I wish I was single again. Again and again and again. Again and again and again. When I was single, my pockets did jingle. I wish I was single again.
After appearing in an episode of Roy Clark's The Misfit, Clive Swift was regularly seen in costume dramas throughout the 70s and 80s, and first worked with Harold Snowd on The Further Adventures of Lucky Jim in 1982. But one of his most acclaimed and telling performances was as Bishop Proudie in the Barchester Chronicles.
So this is our palace.
This is our palace?
The place is falling to pieces.
Is it?
Of course it is. And no doubt the interior is even worse. I shall speak to Mr. Slope.
Clive Swift believes it was his bumbling bishop that brought him to Harold Snowd's mind when casting the henpecked Richard Bouquet. The pairing of Swift and Routledge was a marriage made in heaven and hell.
Be firm, Richard. Don't be pushed around.
Clive Swift brought to life the truth that everybody who was watching the series suspected. What an awful thing she must be to live with.
To make that part believable, that a husband would A, stay with that woman, not be totally browbeaten, manage to keep his own character, make that believable, I thought that was really good acting, because he made him into a slightly lazy person that she did everything for him and that was fine.
She kept a good table. His shirts were ironed. He was always well turned out. That's what a lot of men like. And they get used to it, so they'll put up with anything. As we all know, the secret of marriage is give and take. Kindness, understanding, tolerance.
At one point, I thought this marriage was so awkward that perhaps they had single beds.
I don't like this level of intimacy, dear. I don't think it's natural at our age. Would you please remove yourself from my person?
Other than that, there is never any, in inverted commas, sexual contact between them at all.
Yet there must have been a brief moment when intimacy was on the agenda for Mr. and Mrs. Bouquet. How else to explain their invisible son, Sheridan?
Sheridan! How sensitive of you to call, dear. What a close psychic link we have, you and I.
What does he want?
I don't know that he wants anything. He's just ringing his mother. You need how much, Sheridan?
It's a super idea that you never see him, and of course, you never should.
Sheridan, you're not moving in with some designing female. Oh, it's not a girl's flat, it's a boy's flat. And you're making your own curtains. How inventive.
And of course, that he should be turned out gay is perhaps not surprising.
And again, designed, of course, to show Hyacinth being Hyacinth, that behind all the bluster and the snobbery is a total innocence.
Oh, you and Tarquin aren't interested in girls. What a comfort that is to a mother's heart, dear.
I thought Patricia played it wonderfully in that she was so totally unaware of, you know, a different actress might have played it more knowingly, who knows? Hyacinth, do you ever wonder why Sheridan shows no interest in girls?
Do you think I should take a few of my favourite ornaments?
The character of Sheridan exemplifies a pet theory of mine that you can get away with murder if you don't actually show it.
But the cast found that Roy was even more elusive than Sheridan. The show's creator didn't like to attend rehearsals or recordings, and in 5 series visited the set just once.
And Harold said, you're all allowed to ask him one question.
And I said, am I married, you see? And he said, oh, I don't know. Oh, I said, well, am I a single mother? Well, I don't know. You know, she can have a husband if you like. So I said, well, is he away or is he there? I mean, he could be working in the oil fields. It doesn't really matter. You know, it's all right. I don't mind. Oh, so I said, right. And I wandered away thinking, well, I still don't, I'm none the wiser.
They're a very close couple.
Of course they're close. She has him on a lead.
Well, at least their marriage survives. My husband works abroad. You're divorced. Who are we to criticise?
Roy Clark's remoteness from the day-to-day production of Keeping Up Appearances didn't just affect the cast, but eventually led to serious creative differences between himself and Harold Snowd.
I'm a writer and I'm nothing but a writer. When I submit a script, I've got no interest in producing it, directing it, and I leave it to people.
It's a great pity that Roy Clark and I didn't see eye to eye during the making of Keeping Up Appearances.
I watched on occasions and found scenes I hadn't written. And that's, of course, death to a writer. You can't have it. And that was the problem.
Roy Clark would never actually accept the fact that anything was wrong with his scripts. So when I found a bit that I didn't think this didn't work, I had no alternative but to rewrite large chunks myself. With the blessing of the BBC, they were very happy that I did, and they just left it to me to get on with it.
You'll have to get out and push. You'll have to get out and push.
Me?
There's no one else about.
But I mean, what do I do? I've never pushed anything in my life.
There's a first time for everything.
The BBC eventually brought in a script editor to act as peacemaker, and it's a mark of Keeping Up Appearances' success that the corporation worked so hard to overcome the writer and producer being at loggerheads. A lesser show might have got completely bogged down.
You'll pay for this, Richard Bucket.
I think more than creative differences, there were differences in temper between myself and Harold. And I have warm feelings about Keeping Up Appearances despite any of the troubles that we had, which are par for the course in many a production anyway.
And at times, we weren't the best of mates over that. But the final analysis is that, in the end, it did work extremely well.
Is there anything Just give me time to recover my composure and then come and take tea with me at 3:25.
Josephine Tewson, Hyacinth's next-door neighbour Elizabeth, was one of Harold Snowd's comedy favourites. She first worked with him on The Dick Emery Show.
Oh, he played me a dirty trick, he did.
Sir Thomas, whatever did he do, dear?
He deliberately gave me the wrong date for a concert at the Albert Hall. I turned up there at 8 o'clock, and by 5 past, I was in the ring fighting for my life with Rocky Marciano.
He cast her again as the housekeeper, alongside Ronnie Barker and David Jason in His Lordship Entertains. Then she moved upstairs, playing Lady Cynthia in Elementary, My Dear Watson, with John Cleese and Willie Rushton.
Did I ever tell you the story of my first marriage? Well, I was a young girl of 17. 21.
After Harold cast Josephine again in No Appointment Necessary, he felt there'd be great comedy chemistry if he moved her in next door to Hyacinth.
Patricia Routledge has an excellent sense of farce, which, when I put that together with Joe Tewson, who also is very farcely inclined, I mean, wonderful, the two of them were absolute magic.
When Hyacinth's not watching, I can handle Royal Doulton as well as the next person. It's perfectly simple. You just take hold of it firmly but gently. You raise it carefully,
And Roy Clark had written Hyacinth offstage calling Elizabeth and me rattling the cup and putting it down. And I thought, it's a bit tame after some of the things we've done.